You wake up puffy. Your face looks heavier than it did 5 years ago. Your ankles are swollen by 3 in the afternoon. You feel foggy before noon no matter how much you slept. And every single morning you think, why do I feel this way? I eat reasonably well. I'm not dramatically overweight, so what is happening? I'm going to tell you exactly what is happening. And it has nothing to do with salt, nothing to do with your kidneys, and nothing to do with your age being just catching up with you. There is a system inside your body that is quietly backing up. And after 60, it backs up faster than at any other point in your life. I'm Dr. Chandler. I study what happens to the body's internal systems after 60, specifically the changes that accumulate silently until they become impossible to ignore. Research from the National Institutes of Health has confirmed that lymphatic vessel function declines measurably with age. Vessel walls stiffen, pumping capacity reduces, and fluid clearance slows. This is documented physiology, not opinion, and yet it is almost never discussed at a routine checkup. By the end of this video, I'm going to show you the one daily practice that does more for lymphatic health than any spa treatment or compression wrap on the market. Stay with me. Here is what concerns me most about this. The symptoms of a sluggish lymphatic system after 60 are so gradual, so consistent, so present every single day, that most people stop noticing them. They adapt to feeling foggy. They accept the puffiness as normal. They assume the fatigue is just what getting older feels like. And because the lymphatic system never causes sharp pain, never sends you to the emergency room, never shows up on a standard blood test, it never gets addressed. Meanwhile, the fluid keeps backing up, the waste keeps accumulating, and year by year the quality of life quietly erodes. That does not have to be your story. Your cardiovascular system is a closed loop. Blood leaves your heart, travels through arteries, does its work in the tissues, and returns through veins. It never stops. It has no beginning and no end. Your lymphatic system is completely different. It starts in your tissues as microscopic open-ended vessels, tiny tubes that collect excess fluid leaking out of your blood capillaries into the surrounding tissue. Think of it as your body's internal drainage network. It collects cellular waste, dead protein fragments, metabolic debris, and routes them toward the center of the body where they eventually re-enter the bloodstream and get filtered out. Here is what changes after 60. Research published in the journal Aging Cell has shown that lymphatic vessel walls become measurably stiffer with age. The smooth muscle cells embedded in those vessel walls, the cells responsible for the rhythmic contractions that push lymph forward, lose contractile strength progressively after the 5th decade of life. The result is a drainage system that moves more slowly, backs up more easily, and recovers from overload less efficiently than it did at 40. This week, pay attention to where you feel heaviness or puffiness. Your face in the morning, your legs in the evening, your hands after sitting. That location tells you something specific about where the backup is occurring. We will come back to that. Now, the lymphatic system has no dedicated pump, no lymphatic heart. So what actually moves the fluid? And what happens when those mechanisms weaken after 60? Lymph moves through your body using 3 main mechanisms. The first is skeletal muscle contraction. Every time your leg muscles, arm muscles, or core contract during movement, they physically squeeze the lymphatic vessels running through that tissue and push fluid forward. This is why a sedentary lifestyle after 60 produces visible fluid retention. The mechanical pump has slowed to almost nothing. The second mechanism is your breathing cycle. Every time you inhale deeply, your diaphragm drops downward, expanding your chest cavity. That expansion creates a drop in pressure inside the chest. And that lower pressure physically draws lymph inward from your arms, legs, and face toward the center of the body. Shallow chest breathing, which becomes increasingly common after 60 due to postural changes and reduced respiratory muscle strength, dramatically reduces this suction effect. The third mechanism is arterial pulsation. The rhythmic beating of arteries near lymphatic vessels helps drive fluid forward. As arterial elasticity declines with age, this passive pump also weakens. A 2020 review in the journal Frontiers in Physiology documented all three of these age-related declines in lymphatic driving forces, concluding that the cumulative effect in adults over 60 is a significantly reduced lymphatic transport capacity compared to younger adults. The single most immediate thing you can do today is breathe more deeply and move more deliberately. Not exercise in the conventional sense, simply walk after meals, swing your arms fully, and practice 1 minute of slow, deep breathing before bed. These are not suggestions. They are mechanical interventions in a drainage system. But there is a specific breathing technique that amplifies the chest suction mechanism far beyond what normal breathing produces. And it is the closest thing to a manual pump for your entire lymphatic system. Lymph is made almost entirely of water. The fluid that washes through your tissues picks up cellular waste and carries it to the lymphatic vessels. That fluid comes from what you drink. When you are chronically underhydrated, which research from the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition shows affects the majority of adults over 65, there is simply not enough volume moving through the tissue to wash the waste out. The drainage system slows not because it is broken, but because it has nothing to work with. Here is the counterintuitive part that most people get wrong. When you are puffy and retaining fluid, the instinct is to drink less. That logic is completely backwards. Your body retains fluid as a survival response to dehydration. It holds on to every drop it has because it does not trust that more is coming. When you drink consistently and adequately, that survival response switches off, and the retained fluid begins to move. How much is enough? Your urine is your most reliable real-time indicator. Properly hydrated urine is nearly colorless, pale as water. If your urine is yellow or darker at any point in the day, you are behind. Drink ahead of thirst. By the time you feel thirsty, mild dehydration has already begun. Start each morning with a cup of warm water. Not cold, not room temperature, but warm as a comfortable tea. Warm water arrives close to body temperature and requires no metabolic energy to process. Drink it slowly, then move for 5 minutes. Walking after morning hydration combines two lymphatic mechanisms simultaneously: fluid volume and muscle contraction. Now let me tell you about a patient whose story made me rethink how I explain all of this. Eleanor was 68 when she came to see me. She had been dealing with three things for 3 years that no one had connected. Persistent facial puffiness that made her look, in her words, like she had never fully woken up. A fatigue so consistent that she had stopped scheduling afternoon commitments because she could not trust her energy. And a mental fog that she described as thinking through gauze. Slow, imprecise, exhausting. She had seen her primary care physician, who checked her thyroid and kidney function, both normal. She had tried reducing sodium. She had tried lymphatic massage at a local spa. 3 sessions, no lasting change. When I assessed her, the picture was clear. She was chronically underhydrated, drinking less than 800 milliliters of fluid daily. She was breathing shallowly, confined almost entirely to the upper chest. And she had been almost completely sedentary for 2 years following a knee injury that had healed, but left her cautious about movement. Her lymphatic system had 3 of its 4 driving mechanisms operating at minimal capacity simultaneously. We addressed all 3. Warm morning hydration, a 2-minute shoulder raise breathing practice, and a daily 10-minute walk after her largest meal. Within 4 weeks, the facial puffiness had visibly reduced. Within 6 weeks, her afternoon energy had returned enough that she restarted her weekly social commitments. The fog began lifting, nothing pharmaceutical, no expensive treatments. 3 mechanical corrections to a drainage system that had been running on near empty. The breathing technique I gave Eleanor is the one I want to show you right now, because it is the single most underused tool for lymphatic health that exists. And it takes less than 2 minutes. The thoracic pump technique. Here is how it works and why it is so effective. Stand up straight, feet shoulder width apart. Raise both shoulders slowly toward your ears while simultaneously taking the deepest breath you can. Feel your entire chest expanding from the bottom up, ribs widening outward in all directions. Hold for just 1 second at the top. Then slowly lower your shoulders and exhale completely. Let everything go. At the bottom of the exhale, pause for 1 second before the next breath. Here is the physiology. When you raise your shoulders, you mechanically expand the upper chest cavity from above. When you simultaneously inhale deeply, your diaphragm expands it from below. You are stretching the chest in two directions at once, creating a substantial drop in intrathoracic pressure. That pressure drop generates a powerful suction effect that draws lymph inward from your tissues all at once, from your face, from your legs, from your arms, simultaneously. On the exhale, the chest compresses and prepares for the next inward pull. Repeated for 10 slow cycles, which takes approximately 90 seconds. This technique functions as a manual pump for your entire lymphatic system. It is the closest thing to a lymphatic heart that your body does not have built in. 10 cycles every morning, 10 cycles before bed. That is 3 minutes total per day. Done consistently over 2 to 3 weeks, most people notice visible changes in facial puffiness and morning energy levels. Not because of a supplement or a treatment, because the drainage system finally has a mechanical driver working in its favor. One important note. If you have known heart failure or have been diagnosed with cardiac edema, swelling caused by reduced heart pumping capacity, please consult your cardiologist before beginning this or any breathing practice. Cardiac edema requires a medically supervised approach and is a different clinical situation from the lymphatic stagnation I have described today. I want to hear from you. Do you experience facial puffiness in the morning, leg swelling in the evening, or that persistent, foggy feeling that coffee does not fix? How long has it been going on? And how old are you? Leave it in the comments. It helps me understand who is watching and what to cover next. And reading your responses often shapes the next video I make. You are not alone in this, and you are not broken. Your drainage system needs attention, and now you know how to give it. Now, if chronic inflammation is part of your daily experience after 60, and you want to understand what is actually driving it at the cellular level, not just what to take for it, but what is causing it. That is exactly what I cover in this video right here. Watch it next.